Recording in progress.
Ready.
Okay, I want to validate that we have a quorum. I see Vicky on the screen.
You got Vicky, Robbie, and Christy.
All right, so that's 8 of the 9 of us. That would constitute a quorum for sure.
Seven.
Or 7 of the 9, that's right, Dory. All right, I will call this meeting to order. You all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for attending. And those out there that are coming online and watching on YouTube.
Can you just a sec? Can you guys hear Bob? Oh, good, awesome. No, you're
I'm good.
that new
System?
system is
All
good.
right. At this time, are there any agenda adjustments?
Yes, I have an agenda adjustment. A motion for an agenda adjustment, if possible.
Okay, and so since you're not here, Christy, I recognize the voice. You just make sure
Yes,
that
it's Christy.
we out there identify who it is that's talking, so that we'll have that in the minutes. Okay? So, and your agenda item is?
I would like to add a letter of appreciation to RSU4 staff, please.
Is there a second to that?
I second.
Because we have to approve all agenda adjustments, have to be approved. All right, and any discussion on the item will take place under the item itself, and that would be 7.2, new business.
You have a vote for that.
All right, is there any discussion on the motion to modify the agenda? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote, and as we have attendees on Zoom, we'll have to do all votes. Roll call?
Vicky,
Yes.
Christy,
Yes.
Robbie,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
and Bob. Motion carries. The agenda will add 7.
say yes.
Oh, sorry. My bad. I'm moving too fast tonight. Bob,
Yes.
motion carries. We'll add 7.2.
2.1, to approve the minutes of the January 26, 2022 Board of Directors meeting.
So moved.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Any comments, adjustments, corrections?
A question, this is Christy. I noticed that Dory was listed as unexcused. I just wanted to double check to make sure that those excused and unexcused are accurate.
That is correct. If you check our policy, I have the ability to, as the chair, not me personally, but as the chair has the ability to excuse absences for a limited number of reasons, which are actually listed in the policy. For any other reason, it becomes a board decision on whether to call it an excused absence or not. This is the first time that I can recall in my number of years serving on the board where this is really came up. Most people are out for just a vacation. Dory is away for a while. Superintendent's talked to her, but I think what we're gonna, I don't know if she signs on tonight or not. Our policy does say if there's 2 consecutive unexcused absence, then we might have to declare the seat vacant, position vacant. But then again, I sent Dory an email today to let her know that the absent was unexcused, that I don't have the power to do it because the policy doesn't allow me to grant it for the reasons that she's away. But that when we bring it up to discuss whether the board wants to make it an excused or unexcused absence, then she has the right to address this and to give her reasons on why she thinks she should be unexcused, or should be excused, I'm sorry, if she so desires. I haven't got a response. She hasn't logged on tonight. She like all of us, gets the email with the meeting. She has a schedule. That's her prerogative. So instead of bringing it up tonight, since she's not on, this would be, she hasn't contacted me about tonight. this would be 2 consecutive, and then we would put it on the agenda for our next meeting to discuss the issue and whether we have to declare the seat vacant, and then notify the town of Litchfield, and then they do whatever they do according to their town charter to fill the seat, okay? So that,
Thank you for that
that's-
clarification.
all right? I think it was a little bit more than a yes or no, but a yes or no might not have been really sufficient. Any other questions, corrections? I have a couple, if I may. Under new business, 7.1, since this is really a motion, I think it's important that we get it right. And I think that it was, on the second line, it says 2022 school year approved the change. I think it's and approved the change.
And approved, yep.
All right, so
Yep.
that would, and then on 7.3, if I can have cooperation of people out there that are on Zoom, make sure that you have your speaker turned off, please. We don't pick up the background noise. So 7.3, this might have been the intent of the motion,
Mhm.
but I think the motion was something to accept the plan that would be given minus the parts that said recommended and a couple little verbiage things.
Yep,
So I would recommend that you go back and check the recording.
I will rewatch the recording.
Okay?
Yep.
And get that in. And, those are my comments. If there's no other comments, then we'll, vote to accept the minutes as corrected, pending, or maybe we ought to wait until that gets in there.
It's up to you.
Yeah, why don't we bring it back, because that motion is completely different, so we won't, if, I would suggest that we don't approve this motion right now. We'll call for the vote, we can say no, or the motion maker can withdraw the motion, the second can withdraw the second, and then we'll just go on.
So the motion was Jen, second was Vicky.
Right. I move to withdraw my motion.
Okay. Vicky, do you withdraw your second?
I withdraw my second.
Okay, then we will pass on.
So it'll be tabled until next time.
Yeah, table until next time we get the correct verbiage in it. Okay? All right, public comment. There's a time when the public is invited to make brief comments about the school environment, the school system. We ask that you keep it positive if you can. It's not a requirement, but we do require by policy that you don't identify students. We ask that you don't identify individual staff members unless it's, that you don't identify individual staff members. If you do, you do. We just prefer that you don't. And keep it civil and be conscious of your language. We probably have a number of students who watch these meetings also, so we've been informed. So those of you out in Zoom who would like to speak, you have 2 options. You can raise your hand, and the superintendent will see that, and he can call on you. Or you can send a chat, which we have so that the superintendent receives all the chats, and he can either read it or call on you and give you the options. For those that are in attendance, if you would like to make a comment, you're more than welcome to come forward. We ask that anybody that makes a comment identify, give us your name and the town that you are a resident of, so we have that on the record. So at this time, I'll open it up. That are in attendance, if you would like to make. We have nobody in the audience here that has shown an interest in making a comment at this time. Do we have anybody online?
Not this time.
All right, so we don't have anybody that's raised their hand or sent a chat requesting to speak. So at this time, we'll move on to petitions and communications.
I have none this evening.
All right, reports, 5.1, superintendent's report.
All right, I've got a list of things, so I'm gonna kind of combine, as you all know, I'm covering Director of Operations, Director of Transportation responsibilities, and my supers reports. I'm gonna kind of put them all into one. Obviously, you know, snow removal's become quite a large part of what's going on for our custodial staff. We are having some struggles with equipment. The tractor at the middle school is nearing the end of its life. I have to thank Waterman's Farm Machinery for keeping it going, because that is really kind of an exercise in futility. It's something we're gonna have to address in the next budget cycle. The lighting project is complete, other than the data portion, so they'll be in to run the data lines, so we can have some more control over these new lights. As you see, we've got them in here. They're pretty amazing. We can actually look at their energy consumption online, things like that, but the data lines have to be run for that. I will be meeting Monday with the Siemens Corporation to discuss the comprehensive service contract we have with them. So 3 years ago, we signed a 3-year contract. That contract is up, so we have a meeting to discuss that. So we have lost the boiler in the steamer. Is it the steamer kettle, Kathy? Yeah, the steamer kettle at the middle school. Again, it's about a $17,000 repair. We're going to need to address that at some point, probably sooner rather than later. But right now, money's pretty tight. We are getting by, but it's not ideal. So I'm looking at ways. Kathy and I are looking at ways to kind of rectify that situation. The sprinkler system leak that we had at the high school has been repaired. Afterwards, it needed an inspection. The inspection company came in and let me know that we're using the wrong type of glycerin. The glycol that's in there is now no longer approved, so we'll need to address that in the next budget cycle as well. So I've gone out for quotes for that. Moving on, I have formed a committee to hire the new Director of Operations. The Thursday we'll be reviewing applications. We got a sizable amount of applications, so that's a good thing. You know, anytime you put something out in multiple areas, you do get some applications that just kind of make sense. So I have called those out, so we'll be reviewing about 10 to 15 applications on Thursday to then move on to an interview portion. So I'm pretty excited about that you know, in a selfish way more than anything else. As today, like I think people heard, I was crawling around. When Kathy says to me, hey, can you come look at something for me? It always means that something's about to go awry, and that was me crawling in the ceiling at Sabata's Primary. I have scheduled a CPT meeting for the first week in March. One of the reasons being I've had a request to talk about universal masking, but also at WMSA today there was a lot of talk about the talk about unmasking and universal masking has become very heavy. And actually Dr. Shah is meeting next week with the area regional presidents of the MSSA to talk about what potential metrics would look like to remove the masking component of the SOP. So I don't know what the timeline is for that, but that is something that has been discussed a lot. I know other boards have been talking about it, so this will get us time to get through February break. We'll put together the CPT the first week of March. March, I believe 2nd is when I scheduled that for. Is that correct, Kathy? March 2nd? And then we'll have recommendations to come back to the board at the March 9th board meeting. We're working on the budget. Jessica and I have met with all of the administrators. I have to say Jessica's doing a great job with the budget. It's always nice to have another set of eyes to look at it. I mean, I have to be honest. I've said it before. You know, the chickens are coming home to roost. The budget is up. And just the first run, we're not quite done with it yet, but I can tell you salary and benefits alone are up about 9% of the total budget. So, you know, it's going to be a rather large number, but we're going to work on it some more in the coming weeks. I'll have a first draft to you, the first meeting in March. Right now, I said it, I emailed all of you today, emailed the staff yesterday. We need to show a show of solidarity for our staff. You know, there's been a lot of negative stuff online, and it's, you know, it's really disheartening. I can't imagine. I say it all the time. You know, we have an unbelievable staff here in RSU4, administrators, teachers, and I don't want to keep going because I'll forget some group because, you know, we get talking and you do that. But every single person who works in this district works their tail off every single day. These are some of the hardest conditions we've all ever worked under. And to see some of the vilification that I saw on social media this week, it really hurt my heart. And not for me, you know, at positions of leadership, that's what you take, but it hurt my heart for them. They come to work every day, they work hard for these kids. They work hard for these communities, and they give more, they do more, and I say this all the time, and this isn't something that I'm necessarily we should be touting to the ceiling, but it is. Our staff in RSU4 do more with less than any other school district I've ever worked in, by far. And the things that they do for kids are amazing. And I would be remiss if I didn't say it, that I'm thankful for every single person sitting in that audience today and every single person that walks into our buildings every day, because the jobs they do are not easy. So, you know, I appreciate all of them, and I think this is a time for us to come together, you know, and you all to come together as a governing body to show that appreciation. Beyond that, a couple of pieces of good news. We did have 2 teachers nominated for Teacher of the Year, Aaron Reynolds and Tracy Ireland. So, you know, congratulations to them. Those are big honors, and I thought it was important to share it with all of you. So, other than that, we had 1 resignation. Jenny Johnson, Assistant Principal, SPS in Oak Hill Middle School. Jenny's leaving education to pursue a career in science. We wish her well. You know, we've enjoyed working with her for the last couple of years. And then we do have an appointment. Marilyn Hussey is going to be a new bus driver for us. She's actually started working. Anytime you can hire a bus driver, that's a good thing. One of the things that enticed her here was Kathy Perry. If you all know Kathy Perry, she's our new head bus driver. She worked with Marilyn years ago at Hudson. The other thing is, you know, is when I met with Marilyn, we're now, because our contract is in a much better place, we're paying better than maybe some of our competitors around. So that was a big win. So that concludes my report.
Any questions? All right, Director CAI, Kathy.
All right, so I'm gonna, can you hear me? Okay.
I can, I don't know about out in the world.
Yes, okay, I'm seeing nodding. So I'm gonna put my Director of Food Service hat on, just to let you know that we are in the midst of an audit, a desk audit for Libby Tozier. What we have learned is that a desk audit for one school actually means a desk audit for all the schools, because they need to compare all the schools to Libby Tozier to make sure it's comparable. So we've been meeting with the food service managers in all 3 towns and making sure that we're getting all the documentation that we need. There's kind of like 3 parts to that. So one part we're completing in February, one part we'll complete in March, and the final part that we meet with the DOE will be in April. We should get a report probably in June, so I'll be able to share that with the board. The other part is we are moving to Asset Panda, which is an inventory, so we're going to be changing our system and ensuring that all our food service items are done in this inventory system. So a big kudos to our Tech World department, because they are helping us with the training and also the transition to that new program. In terms of curriculum assessment and instruction hat, it is assessment time. As you will see tonight on the agenda, our principals will be reviewing our STAR data. That is just one piece of the data that we collect. So in January, we've done assessments from running records to STAR to DIBELS to teacher-led. Obviously at the high school, the semester completed. So there's a lot of different formative and summative assessments that were getting done. 4th grade got picked to do NAEP, but that got pushed out, so we'll have that further in the year. But we are currently working on Ell testing. So we have 6 students in this district that are English as a second language, and so we are currently working on testing those students. We get the results typically back in April, and then we meet with parents. One of the great things about our late start Wednesdays is the time that teachers get to work and look at the data. We did have to push our assessment window 1 week because of that Martin Luther King week where we had the holiday, then the teacher workshop, then we had a snow day and 2 remote. It was impossible to assess our students. So we did push the assessment window. Our teachers really have not had a whole lot of PLG time to look at the data, but they are starting to do that to make plans of what interventions and things that they're going to make from February to April vacation. So our principals will share a little bit about that. But our focus is on the growth and not achievement. So although your Your slides tonight are about achievement levels. Our teachers are really focusing on growth and meeting where our students are at and moving them forward. I will tell you, I met, obviously, I'm at SPS helping out Ben, and we had teachers that were looking at some of the students that were in red and are still in red, but they've moved 2 grade levels in terms of reading levels. So I just caution you when you're looking at the red doesn't tell the whole story, too. Putting on another hat, I'm helping out Ben. As you saw the resignation with Jenny Johnson, I'm going back to my default mode and helping at Sebastian Primary. And we are doing a Winter Olympics for staff, so some fun, corny games to kind of keep morale up, and you can kind of see who's the competitive nature in our staff. So lots of fun. Our special ed folks actually came and made flags and came as a team and had music and everything. So just nice to see some laughter and some good times before vacation. So next week is Valentine's Day and 100th Day, which in the primary world is always a good time. It was going to be on the same day, but because of our snow day, now we have 2 days of fun. So we're looking forward to that next week. So
Thank
that's
you.
all.
Any questions? Okay, principals report. Where do we start?
Who's going first?
I think I got that.
All right.
Yeah, that's it.
All right,
The
let me,
slides kind of dictated this time.
Next year, Marco and I are trading places.
I'm going to have this up here, and you guys will be able
Thank
to
you.
see it out there as well. Can you guys out there see that?
Yes.
Awesome. All right.
Okay, so I will be sharing pre-K and kindergarten information with you. Our pre-K slide is probably the toughest slide to look at, I guess, when we're comparing to how data looked before and how it looks this year on this slide. So I'm going to explain a little bit behind, I think, the big changes in what we're seeing now as to what we saw before COVID-19. So with COVID-19 came a lot of not sharing classroom spaces and whatnot, and we switched from a 4 half-day model to 2 full-day models for pre-K. So they get ultimately the same time, or maybe even a little bit more at school. But I don't know how many of you know 4-year-olds teaching twice as much reading or twice as much math in one day is not as easy as it might sound. So we do lose instructional time on the things that are shared in STAR, which is math and which is reading and a little bit of math. So far this year, cohort A, which comes in on Monday and Tuesday, has met at school for 37 days. Cohort B for 33 days. They come in on Thursday and Friday. So this gap between students being in school, we lose routines, expectations, prior learning. Even without any snow days, holidays, remote days, or vacations thrown in, they get a Thanksgiving break every single week between their class time. So that is something that's different when looking at this data. They are getting more time in phys ed and more things like that, but those don't show with the STAR data, unfortunately. So I could do a different graph at another time about all the good things that are coming from that. But this is probably the biggest issue that myself, looking at data from year to year, the teachers, I know Jan's here today and would nod to that. I think Nancy Dwyer has had conversations with me. It's just hard to get all those services in and whatnot. So I don't really have any other wonderful explanation for the data. The red went up, the green went down. We're doing a lot of wonderful things. Jan and Michelle Wilkins are both amazing teachers. We're super lucky to have 2 very strong pre-K teachers. I would put my own children in either of their classrooms. There's strong teacher collaboration, so the reorganization has made that happen. So last year there was 1 pre-K teacher in each building, so there was not a lot of collaboration unless they seeked that out outside of school time. So that is a nice part to this school year that we've missed for a while. So they're planning lots of new activities, creating and sharing between the teachers to support student growth, lots of hands-on activities that are boosting social emotional development. So they're doing a wonderful job. Unfortunately, there are lots of factors, I think, that go into this slide.
Keep going.
Yes, thank you. So kindergarten. This one, the number of students who met the growth goal was lower than other grade levels that I'll share later. But there was a lot of good work here. So you can see the red, yellow, and blue all went down, and green increased by 13%. So that's exciting. Some of the things that are happening in kindergarten this year, we've moved our kindergarten ed tech support closer to a Title I model than a teacher aid model, which has been awesome to watch. Becky D'Alessandro has spent a ton of time training these ed techs. It's been very successful so far, so we'll regroup now with the new data and see which kids we can push a little closer to meeting that, that growth goal for the next round. There were many teachers and ed techs from both SPS and Libby Tozier who attended a book study with Becky about reading, and Mr. Wilson and I were able to be at most of those meetings. That was really good new learning, and I think is supporting a lot of the work that's happening in kindergarten. We have a new PLG plan. I know Kathy just hinted at some of this work. Our PLG time is being used to look very closely at the data and create goals based on that data. We'll work through a 6-week cycle where they'll come up as a grade level team with a goal. They're working on a reading goal right now in kindergarten. I got to sit with them this morning for PLG and listen to some of that work. They're working on guided reading, which was exciting to follow. Focusing on strengthening our Tier 1 instruction this year to find gaps that exist. And we've recently begun using really great reading to fix some of the lagging skills. So I think we'll keep seeing some of this, the movement on these the next round. And I just wanted to also add, we have a really new staff on that kindergarten team. We have 2 first-year teachers, 2 second-year teachers, 1 fourth-year teacher, and 1 veteran teacher. So this is impressive. I mean, they're working super hard. They're signing up for coaching time. It's really, really nice to see how ambitious they are and dedicated to really learning so much more. We're right out of college practically. So that's all I have for now. You want Ben to come up, and I'll come back in a minute.
So that's primary school. How we doing? Let's rock and roll. Let's do this. Push the button. Bam. There we go. All right. All right. This is early literacy. So on average, the students increased by 0.7 of a year, surpassing the expected half a year's growth, which is pretty exciting. Our essentials classes averaged the same amount of growth, which is very remarkable because these kids came in pretty low. We formed essentials classes at the beginning of the year to support the students who had not had a lot of schooling in the last couple of years due to the pandemic, or students who have tested low prior to coming into the primary level. And we've seen a lot of growth with the Title I push-in, which is fantastic. Elise Gagnon has done a great job supporting that. Next slide. Bam. Let's do it. Pop. So, yeah. So you can see the growth. It is like a sea of green. It is phenomenal.
Or yellow.
Well, if you look at the green, I mean, so yellow went up, and we're happy with that. So what this is telling us is that our students on the low end with the Title I support have really had a lot of growth. So, and I will tell you, one of the kids has 5.7 years of growth in half a year. That is amazing. I was going to use the word freaking. That was amazing. Just absolutely amazing. Our kids are doing great. So next slide. Thank you. Nope.
So this is 5 colors. We've been having 4.
So the dark green is the top 10%. So these are kids who will go above proficiency. So
Okay, so
if
what's
you,
in the scale over there?
yeah, so we're going to increase the scale as we go along here with the age groups.
So those, the darker green are kids that we eventually look for GT services.
Yes.
Those are kids that we would eventually screen.
So please look at that number of 24%. That's pretty amazing. Pretty excited about our first grade information. So next slide, please. First grade math. Here we go. So on average, the student increased, get ready for this. On average, our students increased 2.4 years of growth at the half year mark this year. That is very exciting. Essentials classes averaged 2 years of growth in the first half of the year. So we have a lot of progress going on with math at the primary level. We've made it one of our priorities during our PLGs. Brandy Munsey, one of our math coach for SPS, has done a beautiful job supporting our teachers with math this year, and we're seeing the benefits. And I will tell you, the reorganization, having a first grade team be able to meet together and talk about progress and talk about their academics and then talk about best practice in the classroom, that is a work of art. And I got to, it's something that we witness in the middle school and the high school all the time, but it's kind of new at the primary level, and they are loving it. And as evidenced by the data that our students are getting. We're doing a phenomenal job with that. Next slide, please. All right, second grade. So on average, the students increased by 0.6 of a year, which is pretty good since we're halfway years, a little bit more than half years worth of growth. The essentials classes had done the same. Again, those teachers working together, our PLG time together has really been beneficial. And our essentials classes are working well for us. Ms. Herbert, this is our second year in the district. She has been taking coaching with Mr. Alessandro, who is our literacy coach, and Ms. Munzie, and the kids have just done a beautiful job. So, next slide, please. Second grade math. All right. So again, on average, we had a half a year's growth, which is expected, and the essentials classes were the exact same for math. So SPS, we had been continuing the coaching cycles with our staff until recently. As being short a teacher, they're supporting that first grade class currently. Title I push-in support for our essential students is proving to be successful, as these students have seen an incredible amount of progress compared to the prior years. Again, the students in essentials classes are students who've been behind or have been less than successful in their educational career. Some of the students that were in the essentials class may have not seen a lot of school in the last year and a half. Let's not forget, these second graders, the last time they were in school full-time was pre-K. So it's been a while since they've had a full year. I will tell you, this is January. Normally by November, the stamina is built up in the students, but they're still sleepy by the afternoon. It's taking a little extra time to get them accustomed to the school day. I'd like to thank Becky and Brandy, our reading and math coaches, who have supported a very strong professional development this year for our staff. Becky has completed the book study. You heard that from Jamie earlier. It was very well attended by teachers and ed techs. The mantra during that book study for the ed techs that were there was, we're no longer an ed tech. You're now going to be student support with title. And it really has paid off for all of us. I took part in it. It's been fantastic. The read we did, I'm going to forget the name of it, but it actually has changed the model of literacy instruction at the primary level. It's provoked conversations during our PLGs and has helped us to plan our current PLG plan. So it's been very exciting. And again, we have the new PLG plan. So again, teachers are working on teams, which is something they have not done ever, I don't think, as a whole grade level. Working on goal setting for response to intervention with our students, which is fantastic. So we hope to see a lot of growth in the spring. Back to you.
All right, Carrie Ricker, third and fourth grade. So third grade reading, 64% of the students met the growth goal. The average growth for this grade level was half a year, which is, we were about 0.4 or 0.45 of a year through in this testing window, so that's a little better than expected. 36% of the students moved to a higher growth band, so they moved up from one color to another. Title I, 75% of students met their growth goal, and their average growth was 0.87, so closer to a full year than the grade level as a whole. 42% of them moved to a higher growth band. 72% of our third graders were below benchmark in the fall. 57 were below benchmark in the winter, and if that continues, we'll be down to 42%. When I say below benchmark, it's the blue and down. We did have a 7% total of the students were in the above benchmark. That was a 3% increase from the fall. And for enrichment, for some of those students, Kathy mentioned we use that data to identify GT students. 29% of those students are receiving gifted and talented services already. So that's one of the ways that we're supporting the students on that end. Again, our PLG time is being used to look at that data together. We have really great reading in third and fourth grade as well this year. And third and fourth grade will be doing One School, One Book, which Danielle Gauthier will be kicking off at our February assembly. Can't share the book yet. That's part of their surprise at the assembly, but that will be something that really involves families and all of the staff and students, and we're looking forward to that. That's something new to the district, to my knowledge. So I hope to have some good results from that to share with you. And then third grade math, 67% met the growth goal. Average again was that half a year's growth, so a little higher than expected. 33% moved to a higher growth band. For Title I, 100% of them in this group met their growth goal. The average growth goal was 0.85, and 100% of them moved from one band to another. 10% of the third graders have moved out of the red intervention level since fall, which was pretty decent number compared to some of the other ones. If we continue this trend, only 6% will be at the intervention level in the spring. And then for enrichment, for that dark green, which increased by 6%, it's up to 15 now. We currently have 6% of those students receiving gifted and talented services. So Kathy, there'll be another list for you coming. PLG time again, using to look at that data. Teachers can choose if they want to focus on reading, math, or writing based on looking at kind of an overview of all three of them. Focusing again on strengthening Tier 1 instruction this year, finding any gaps. And this is our second year of using Do the Math as an intervention in Title I, and I think Nancy can nod behind me, maybe in special ed as well this year. Deb Witham is doing Math is Figure Outable this month for grades 3, 4, and 5. This helps students talk about how they know a math answer, following that by showing how they found it. So it's really talking about the math, not just doing it. So that'll be another family-involved Title I activity, and we've kicked that off already. So I'm hoping to hear some good conversation and see some results from that. And fourth grade reading, 64% met the growth goal. Average was half a year's growth. 35% moved from one band to another, to a higher one. Title I support, 100% met their growth goal. The average growth for Title I was 1.3 grade levels, and 100% moved from one growth band to another. 66% of our third graders were below benchmark in the fall. 60 were in the winter, so we'll be down to 54% in the spring if this trend continues. We have 16%, which is awesome, in that dark green, 4% increase from the fall. 53% of these students are receiving gifted and talented services. And I already shared with you the information about PLGs. And last but not least is fourth grade math. So 62% of the whole class met their growth goal. It was half a year growth, a little above what was expected for the class on average. 27% moved from one color band to the next. Title I had 57% meeting their growth goal. The average growth for Title I students was 0.67, and 29% of them moved from one band to another. 77% of fourth graders were below benchmark in the fall, 62% in the winter, and if we continue that trend, we'll be down to 47% in the spring. And we have 6% in the dark green, above benchmark, 2% increase there, and we have 50% of those students currently enrolled in gifted and talented.
It's funny how Jimmy and I have two schools. Okay. Next slide, please. Fifth grade reading. So on average, students increased by, this is a hard one. We didn't have a whole lot of growth this year for our reading, but we have a lot of good things going on. 51% of the students have half a year's growth or more. Again, these are students that have had issues. Some of these students has issues in the past. Our essentials classes have had 0.2 of a year of growth. Our STEM team. So we have put together two programs. We've always had an essentials program at the middle school. We've had it there for 9 years. This is the first year where we've attempted to try a different style of education by putting together these hands-on teams. So our STEM team, the data for the STEM team looks very good. We have 54% of the students making a half year's growth or more, which is very exciting. Next slide, please. Math. So on average, the students increased 0.7 of a year's growth, which is pretty exciting. Again, we should have 0.5, but we have 0.7. 87%, this is the good number. 87% of the students have a half year's growth or more, which is very good for us. Essentials classes averaged 0.4 a year of a growth, and the STEM math kids have 50% of students have made a half year's growth or more, which is pretty nice. So in fifth grade, our reading teacher for fifth grade left around Thanksgiving to take a position nearer to home. We've been fortunate to fill our reading vacancy with Mrs. Reynolds. Erin graduated Oak Hill High School, I think 9 years ago. Erin, she has made such a positive impression on her team and our fifth grade parents that she's been nominated for County Teacher of the Year. That's pretty remarkable. She's been here for 2 months, so it's pretty special. She is a wonderful individual. I liken her to a weather pattern. The energy that she exudes is pretty remarkable. She has worked closely with Karen Matthews, who's our literacy specialist for the middle school. She and Karen have worked closely to continue the workshop model in that classroom. And if you want to see a picture-perfect workshop model, if you want to see kids able to process their work on their own with their academic peers at a table, come witness Ms. Reynolds' class. It is beautiful. Let's see. We also are fortunate to have Ms. Spencer with us on our 5th grade STEM team. She came up from SPS last year. She's doing our humanities and literacy. Again, a model of perfection for literacy work, and it's been fun working with her, seeing her develop units for her humanities. We're bringing the social studies nonfiction text into the writing program, so kids need something to write about, and that humanities program has been working out very well for us. And again, she also was a teacher year nominee last year, so we have 2 teacher nominees in 5th grade this year, which has been very exciting for us. Next slide, please. 6th grade, here we go. So on average, the kids increased by 0.4 of a year, close to the half-year mark we want. 54% of students have had a half year's worth of growth or more. The essentials classes, again, we've had these essential classes going in the middle school for about 9 years. Almost a full year's, 9/10 of a full year's, almost a full year's of growth already at the half-year mark for essentials kids, and that's pretty remarkable. That's Mr. Guimond and that was Mr. Collins. And our STEM team with Mr. Ireland has 54% of students had a half year's of growth or more, which is very exciting. Next slide, please. 7th grade reading. Oh, sorry. I remember the 6th grade math. Next slide, please. There you go. 7th grade reading. I'm on a roll. I'm on fire right now. 7th grade. So on average, students increased by 0.3 of a year. Not quite to the half-year mark that we're looking for. Only 45% of students have a half year's growth or more. The essentials had the same 0.3 a year of a growth. But the STEM team, so we're going to go back to the STEM team. 57% of those kids have a half year's worth of growth or more already. Again, pretty remarkable. That STEM teams are really working out well for us. 7th grade math. So we have the average student has a half year's worth of growth, which is fantastic. 49.4% of students have had a half year's of growth. For math, the essentials classes, 0.8 of a year with Miss LaSalle. This is the class I started teaching me in the year. I'll take some credit for that. That we planned in prep for. Miss LaSalle joined us at the end of October. And, we're fortunate to have someone with her experience come join us. And she has brought a level head and 20 years of experience teaching 4th grade math, believe it or not, but it's really adapted well to the 7th graders. And she's done a phenomenal job for us. And the STEM team, ready for this? 67% of the kids have made a half year's growth or more. That to me is a remarkable number. So we had a math teacher leave early in the year to take care of our burgeoning young family. This is the class I was planning for, instructing with support of other OHMS staff. We were fortunate to have Ms. LaSalle join us at the end of October. She performed remarkably. Her years of experience have been a great asset, and she has fit in with her team right away. And obviously our students are showing the growth for that. Next slide, please. 8th grade. So most of the students for reading, 0.3 of a year of growth. 45% of the students have had a half year's growth or more. The essentials class is right on target with a half year's of growth. And then the STEM team, 57% of the students have had a half year's growth or more. So again, the STEM team has really shown us some remarkable data. Math, please. 8th grade math. So on average, the students have increased by 0.6 of a year so far. 54% of the students have had a half year's growth or more. The essentials classes are right on target with a half year's of growth. And the STEM team, a little bit less, 37% growth for the STEM team for 8th grade math. I'd like to thank our literacy coach, Karen Matthews, who worked with Ms. Reynolds in getting her on board with our literacy programs. Karen has taken leadership role with the middle school, helping guide our work in our PLG for literacy as we continue to work at becoming proficient with our literacy instruction. This is the first year we have combined writing and social studies into a humanities content area. The work Mrs. Langtang, Mr. Oliver, Mrs. Spencer, Mrs. Millage, Mrs. Rinko, and Mrs. Buck have put into the new content area, supporting our literacy through social studies, through writing. It's been remarkable. We've done a lot of professional development in creating these new pacing guides and scope of sequence for humanities. Our STEM teams have had success with offering alternative to educational settings. Mr. Allen has joined us this year as our STEM teacher for math and for science in our 5th and 6th grades. He has developed a few cross-curricular units that have students studying the ecology of a watershed. I'm not going to lie, there's been some bumps in the road, but I think overall our new program has been a fantastic benefit for us at the middle school. And again, we have a new PLG program where we're working on using our data to create goals for our students in our content areas. And we've been using our technology to assist us with tracking and the backfilling of missing concepts for reading and for math. We're developing goals based upon these lagging skills that get pointed out through our STAR assessments as well as our Fontes Pinnell reading assessments. There have been a lot of new structures put in place this year to support students' needs. And if we're not for the dedication of our staff and support from our proud community, we'd not be seeing the growth that we're seeing. So thank you very much.
Mr. Albert.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for a few minutes of your time to share the STAR reports for Oak Hill High School. Before I jump into the numbers and growth and such, I'd just like to thank the hardworking professionals at Oak Hill High School, specifically tonight, our English teachers and our math teachers. So I would say that Oak Hill High School epitomizes the umbrella treatment that Kathy gave us in regards to growth over scores. What you're going to see tonight are a large percentage of growth amongst really our upperclassmen, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders in comparison to the scores that they've achieved. So as you can see here with 9th grade students, we have a shift from the fall to the winter to the right. Obviously, we would like to see that shift go to the left. As it says up there, you can see there's 46% of students showing half year's growth or more at the time of the test. And we continue to support our students through the essentials classes that we offer, interventionist, and our bar programs and lit labs. Next slide, Andy. Thank you so much. You can see here with math for 9th graders, it's a shift to the middle, which is the blue or on watch section. And again, 47% is up there in the green in the center of the slide of students showing half year or more of growth. And we support our students with math labs and the bar program. You'll start to see the jump here. Thanks, Andy. So 10th grade reading, again, there's a shift here to the left, which is, again, what we'd like to see, with 57% of our students showing a half year or more of growth at the time of the test. And I apologize for repeating myself over and over again, but this is how we support our kids through the essentials classes, interventionist, bar, and lit labs. 10th grade math, again, some nice growth there, 56%. It is a shift to the right, but again, focusing on that growth, showing half year or more of growth at the time of the test. And again, bar and math labs are our primary sources of support for interventions for students. Thank you, Andy. Shift to the left for our reading for 11th graders, 50% of growth for students half a year or more, the time of the test, essentials English, interventionist, bar, and lit labs. Thanks, Andy. 51% growth for our math students. There's a shift to the right there, which we continue to support our students through math labs and bar. 12th grade, Andy. Reading, you can see again the increases here. We've gone from the 50s to the 60s. With our reading for 12th graders, there's a shift to the right. 62% of students showing a half year or more of growth. And once again, you guys probably can repeat this for me. Bar, lit lab, interventionists, and essentials classes. And last but not least, 12th grade math, 65% growth. There's a slight shift to the right here. And again, at the time of the test, is a half year or more of growth for that 65% of the students taking the tests. Math labs and bar are primary sources of interventions for math. So essentially, what does it all mean? As I stated at the beginning, it really has to do with the growth that's happening, and primarily for our upperclassmen. To a certain extent, this makes sense, just given the fact that our ninth graders are new to the building, new to high school, and have not necessarily been in school as long as some of our upperclassmen have. Regardless, there's a fair amount of work that needs to be done here to address some of those scoring concerns and obviously to continue our growth.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yes, knowing that across the board, it's an observation that I can't wait to see the growth and continued progress for all ages, but especially knowing the kids who have missed the major gaps of like the 3 years of the transitional time to an elementary school into middle school and then middle school to high school. I can't wait to see the growth that they have. I also, I guess, would say that it would be probably in our best interest to look at having preschool be 4 half-days again, because anybody who knows that intensity in that short amount of time for kids does not help them be able to retain what they're learning. So I think that should be something that we look at shifting for next year. Thank you, everybody. That was really great information and a lot of hard work.
Robbie has a question.
That's Robbie.
Yeah, that was great information, and I want to thank all the administrators and the staff. But I like the idea that we're comparing our students to our students.
Yeah.
And we can see growth from, from task to task. That's the thing that I think that we have to concentrate on, that our students are growing, not compared to somebody that doesn't live in our district, but to their own growth and learning.
Yes, go ahead, Diane.
Having been in the classroom, I did notice that our math is very, very strong in this district, extremely strong. I think we need to have some more support in the area of reading for some kids, because I know in the past, some of the A-levels in the South are getting Title I, is that correct?
Yeah, so with the restructuring or the reorganization, we've been able to add an essentials class in every grade level, K through 12, essentially. And we've, I think, honed in on where our staff are, so we do have a lot more support for our students, and we've reorganized our Title I and II.
So what about kids who after testing, who are not in the essentials and qualify for Title I, are they able to get those services?
Yeah, so I will say that I met with Title I staff right now. We're looking at how many kids we can actually, what we call graduate. So after this half a year point, how many can come out of Title I and get the support in the classroom and then picking up the new staff. So there is always, I think, a handful of students that we can't service, but I think our percentage is a lot smaller.
All right, thank you. Any other questions, comments? I have one observation. We're talking about growth, and growth is great. But I don't know that I'm all that cheered if only 54% of the students are making a half year's growth at the half year point. I guess my expectation is that students in all grades through the course of the year, the vast majority of those students will progress that year. And a certain percentage will do more than that, all right? So when we say our 54% or 57% is fantastic, I don't see it personally as fantastic. I want to see our students growing. And if we're halfway through, I'd like to see 80%, 85% grow in a half year. Because what it means is that if 54% have gone a half year and a half year, we got 46% that are falling behind. And what's going to happen next year when they're expected to have this knowledge at the next grade level and they don't have it because they haven't absorbed it or we haven't been able to instruct it or whatever it is. So, you know, I know it's been hard, we're doing things differently. Somehow we have to, you know, maybe it's not about the grades that they're getting. You know, I've always supported the assessments and the grades over my years on the board. But if we're talking about growth, we got to get them to grow. You know, it's either that or they do to them what happened to me in 5th grade, and I got to go at it twice. You know, and when we take a student from 4th grade that's not ready, you know, they can't do the 4th grade work and put them in 5th grade and expect them to succeed, all we're doing is setting them up for failure. You're putting them in a classroom where they don't have a clue on what to go and do, especially if you're talking about math. Everything comes along, right? If they don't know how to do multiplication, division is probably not going to work for them. You know, if they can't add, they're not going to be able to multiply, you know, or division. So those are my thoughts, that we really, I would like to see us, and I know everybody out there is doing the best job they can. I'm not trying to say that. I just, when we present it, you know, I don't take 54% success as being fantastic. So those are my thoughts. Let's be real, let's be transparent, and let's help those students grow. And if we're not doing it quite right, then, you know, we can reassess and get the support that we can. But that's how I look at it, me personally. Diane?
How many of those students that we tested are in special ed?
A lot. Nancy could give a percentage.
Well, 250 students that are special ed?
Close to 260.
Yeah.
67 of them are the middle school.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
many are on referral? I mean, those kids are all part of that testing window, so you really have to think about that as well, because some of those kids will never make as much growth as you know, as other children in their grade level might make.
I understand. So we're talking 260 students and, what do we got, 1,400 students now?
Yeah, we're about, what are we, 18%, Nancy?
Yeah, so 18%, so 18 and with 44, you know, there's still a big gap there of students.
But there are those students who also don't qualify, who end up getting services that, you know, they're
Right.
kind of like on that cusp.
Right, so, you know, I guess to not hash out the procedures, but just our comments on the presentation is, those are my comments. Anybody else that had comments, you know, on what it was is, you know, there's been some good ones
I
made.
can jump in real quick. I would just caution us and to remember that this is just one snapshot of data,
Snapshot. Okay.
and that there's so much more that our teachers and our administrators are using to measure success. I know that standardized testing is important, but I also think when I'm listening to the anecdotal pieces of this presentation, I think we need to celebrate that too. I understand that the standardized pieces are important, but, and correct me if I'm wrong, there are other pieces of assessment. This is not how all of our students are graded. So just because we're seeing that snapshot with this one assessment doesn't mean it's necessarily the whole picture.
You're right, there are multiple ways to assess, and the proof in the pudding is how well do they function when they leave our school system out in society and doing whatever they want to do. You know, and we read lots of good things about graduates of Oak Hill High School and what they've accomplished either at college or out in the world of work, coming back as a graduate, as being one of our teachers. You know, so there's lots of things to celebrate too.
Well, you have to remember, Christy hits it on the head. You know, it is a snapshot in time. I would hazard to guess if we gave this the next day. So you gave STAR data, STAR test today, you'd get one snapshot in time, and you gave it tomorrow, you get another. You know, it's the same conversation I had with my own kids. My daughter came home the other day all upset because her NWA score had dropped 8 points. Well, I asked, okay, can she take it again 2 days later? She didn't drop. So she took her baseline score. She had dropped 8 points the day before. That she took it 2 days later. She scored 12 points higher than she did on her baseline score. So it's hard, and I think Christy hits it just right. It's a snapshot in time. I hear what you're saying, Bob, because we are focused on growth, and we always want every student to meet or exceed their growth goal every year. But when we look at a snapshot in time, we have to be very careful on how we pigeonhole that data. This is just one data point.
Right, and with that being said, then we don't want that to make the focus of the presentation. To say, you know, So, it's just the trade-offs. So let's get it out there. All right, we have no other reports, so we'll move on to old business. I'd entertain a motion to approve the second reading of the following policy, BCP Board of Director Members Conflict of Interest.
So moved. Seconded.
Is there any discussion? All right, first of all, I have to apologize. When we did the first reading on this, I had something going on in my life that really had me distracted, and I didn't do my due diligence and read them before the meeting. So when I read them today in preparation, most of these I've come up with some minor things, but I think they just need to be cleared up. So in this one, on page 2 of 4, in the last paragraph, the second line, third or fourth word from the end of it, it says permitted serve. I think it is be permitted to serve. And that's all I had on this one. So is there any other comments? And I'd ask that we would approve this for second reading, subject to the change.
This is the second reading.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay, gotcha.
Approve it for second reading, subject to that change.
All right, gotcha.
No other discussion? We'll call for the vote.
Vicki,
Yes.
Christy,
Yes.
Robbie,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
and Bob.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. 6.2, entertain a motion to approve the second reading of the following policy, BCC nepotism.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. I have a couple on the top of page 2 in the first paragraph. And kind of in the middle of the second line, it says monetary payments of benefit. I think it's monetary payments or benefit, which duplicates the language somewhere else in one of the other policies. It's or benefit, so someone gets a monetary payment or benefit. Okay? And then down in the last line of that, it says capacity for S school administrative unit. It's probably for capacity for a school administrative unit. And again, I apologize for not having found these before. Is there any other discussion? And we'll vote to approve for second reading, subject to those changes.
Bob,
Yes?
Joe,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Robbie,
Yes.
Christy,
Yep.
and Vicki.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. 6.3, to approve the second reading of the following policy, BEB, Board of Directors members' use of social media.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? I have one on page 2, about the fifth from the bottom, 5th or 6th. It starts with a void. And near the end of that line, it says, or which has not been released. I think it is inaccurate, or which has not been released. The word is should be removed. Are there any other comments? We'll take the vote to approve the second reading of the policy with the correction mentioned.
Vicki, Vicki,
Yes.
Christy,
Yes.
Robbie,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
and Bob.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. 6.4, entertain a motion to approve the second reading of the following policy, GBGB, workplace bullying.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. I have a couple, if I may. So, on the second example, it says shunning or isolating and, the AND word instead of AN, employee. And then going down to the next example, the second line, go all the way where it says employee in reasonable for or And I think that's physical, or fear or, probably supposed to be fear or physical harm. And then the one that starts with harassing, I believe because we have, I don't know, are these colons or semicolons at the end? I can't remember. Semicolon. I think since we've listed them all in semicolon, when you get down to the last semicolon before the last paragraph, there's an and or that ties them together. Well, wouldn't you, when you put all these semicolons down, when you get to the last one, then you say and or before you get to the last? I don't know, it's just a grammatical thing, you know, I had to take
I don't
that.
know.
I had to take English over twice
Yeah,
in
I don't-
high school to graduate. But I think, just how I thought, when you use those semicolons to put out bullets, then you had, the last one was an and or.
I don't know.
So,
Anybody?
then,
I don't.
my other comment is that in here, we are inconsistent with the capitalization of the word superintendent. So in several places, we have superintendent that appears in the middle of a sentence capitalized, and others we have it in lowercase. We should standardize it in one way or the other.
Yep.
So there are a few of those.
Yep.
On the next 2 pages. So word shirts would find you those. Any other comments?
Yeah, there's also a stylistic, there's an extra space if you look on the first page, 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th bullet down, damaging, there's an extra space there, if that's important.
Yep. Yeah.
You missed that, Bob.
Yeah, I did. I
Missed
did.
that. I'm surprised.
You know, there's no way in the world that any of my English teachers from high school would ever believe that I would find any other stuff. No way. Anyway. So, no other comments, then we'll vote to approve of the second reading subject to those modifications. Take the vote, please.
Bob,
Yes?
Joe,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Diane, Robbie,
Yes.
Christie,
Yes.
and Vicky.
Yes.
Motion carries.
6.5, to approve the second reading of the following policy, GBI, staff participation in political activities.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote.
Let's see. Just get my notations here. Vicky,
Yes.
Christie, Christie,
Yes.
Robbie,
Yes.
Diane, Jen,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
and Robbie. I mean, Bob.
Yes.
Sorry. That one's good too. Thank you.
Okay, 6.6, to approve the second reading of the following policy, JB, transgender and gender expansive students.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. I have a couple.
Yes, under,
Go ahead, Christie.
yeah, first page, after number 2, there needs to be additional space.
Okay, yeah, paragraph indentation.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. In that same paragraph, I'd like to say that I am not a make, I'm a male. So identified as make should be identified as male, female, or both.
Yep.
I don't know if anybody else has any. On the next one, 3, we have gender expansive. We have that as 2 words, but up in the paragraph above, I believe where we start this definitions, and someplace else up in here we have it in 2 words, and then someplace we have it as 1 word together. Yeah, matter of fact, the top of the next page, very first word is gender expansive.
Should be a space there.
So,
So you see one spot that it is
Hyphenated.
in 3, some gender expansive people identified, and then if we go to the next page, it's all together as one.
that's 3 different ways right
Yeah.
there.
Yep. It should be split.
Should be uniform with however we choose to have it.
Yeah, whichever, it probably
I
is
believe-
correct in this.
I believe it's two separate words.
It's two separate words. It is two separate words.
I think it
No
kind of
hyphen.
goes along with gender identity and.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. On the second page, C1, the third line is students' gender identity is sincerely. I think it is sincere. And then I think
No.
that here,
It should be sincerely, there should be no period, and the H should be lowercase.
so then it should, is sincerely held as part of the, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so what is one or the other?
Yep.
All right, because I had put down maybe that's a comma, and then it would be held as,
Mhm.
okay. All right. That, and that's it. I have. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote to approve for second reading with those modifications.
Vicky,
Yes.
Christy,
Yes.
Robbie,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
and Bob.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you all. New business, 7. Entertain a motion, 7.1, entertain a motion to elect Kristen Archer as a special ed teacher, resource room, Cary Ricker School for the 2021-2022 school year, as recommended by the superintendent of schools.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
So, Kristen is here, I believe, tonight. Did I see her tonight? We're excited to have her. I met with her, I think, last week. She comes to us with quite a bit of experience teaching in a neighboring system, so, and I believe lives in our community, which is always good to have people who live here work here. So we're excited to have her.
So, probably going to be approved, but I can't say congratulations yet. But I always like to put new employees sometimes on the spot. Just kind of ask, what brought you to RSU4? Other than maybe living in the community, but
I'm incredibly excited. Switching jobs, any job is difficult, but I couldn't not go for the opportunity. I know a lot of people who work in the district. I can just feel everyone's energy and excitement, and the way that you work for your students to meet their needs is amazing. And I would like to be a part of your community.
well, thank you. We are always glad to have talented, eager individuals. All right. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote.
Vicky,
Yes.
Christy,
Yes.
Robbie,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
and Bob.
Yes.
Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Congratulations. Of course, as I understand it, he has to still sign the
I
contract.
still have some.
Yeah. We just vote to let him do it, that's all. All right, 7.2. This would be entertain a motion for the school board to publish or release a unified letter in support of our school staff, from administrators to all staff members.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and,
Second.
okay, moved and seconded. I have a draft of at least a starting point that Christie put together. I'll give you each one. Ugh. There's some place to go and start. As the superintendent said under his report, there's been some negative comments made about our staff from some members of our community, which I truly believe is a small minority of the residents. They're the residents who elected us at the board. We're their representatives, and the vast majority of us do not support those feelings and do not believe that that is the case. I think that it is important that the staff knows, and we say it oftentimes, over and over, that we have a great staff. We're thankful for them. We have wonderful administrators. And the superintendent and his office, Kathy and all, do a fantastic job for us, and we're lucky to have them. And I would hold them up against any school system in the state. I've been on the board for a lot of years. I've seen various staff members come and go, superintendents come and go, and I have to go and say, I am the happiest with this superintendent and feel the most comfortable of anyone we've had. I believe he's upfront and transparent and doesn't try and pull the wool over my eyes, which sometimes works, but not too often. And I've been quite pleased with that. So that being said, Christy was kind enough to put this draft proposal together as a starting point to go and consider a letter that would come from the board to all the staff members to let them know that we support them and appreciate what they do for us each and every day, especially during these especially significantly harder times than any of them have ever experienced before in their careers. And hopefully we'll never experience again once we get through this. All right? So I don't know if those that are on Zoom
I might be able to share it.
can see the letter or not. It would be better.
Yeah.
They can
You
see
can,
it.
you can all see it?
Got copies or can
Okay.
see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess the best way to come up with a letter that we can agree to send and publish out there would just to be, let's look at the first paragraph, read it. If there's changes, suggestions to be made, we can discuss those. All right? And then go from there. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. So the first paragraph, for those that are out there that are online and don't have copies of this, I'll read it so you'll know in all transparency what we're talking about. And this is to all RSU4 staff. It is with respect and admiration that we, the RSU4 School Board, extend our appreciation to every one of you. We recognize the additional challenges and barriers that you all have endured for the past 3 school years. You all have responded to these challenges with grace, modeling to our students that we can do hard things. Each of you have had to work quickly to build new systems in response to so many unknown challenges. Comments, corrections, suggestions? I would offer.
I'm good with it, Bob. I think it's great.
I would offer one. We are officially a board of directors and not a school board. So it should be the RSU4 Board of Directors. That's what we're titled in statute. I know we all refer to ourselves as a school board quite often, but we are a board. Other than
So I'm
that,
gonna make edits in real time, so it will just live in the Google Doc while we do this, if that's okay with everyone.
it's wonderful to me.
Okay.
All right, so let's move on to the second paragraph. So the second paragraph reads, united as a team, you work together to ensure that some sort of normalcy could continue, all while putting students first. Comfort zones have been challenged, and you rose to the challenge. We continue to admire your commitment to putting students and families first. You have been in the forefront of helping families navigate the new normal, quote unquote, of instruction, ensuring the social and emotional development of all learners. What you do matters. We see you, we support you, and we admire you. At the end of the second paragraph. Comments? Suggestions?
Hey, Bob.
Yes, Robbie?
And Christy, can we put something in there like, while you're dealing with the same things with your own family, you're helping our families?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because our staff isn't just helping us. They're living through this like everybody else is. And I think that's what the negative comments don't take into account. Our staff is going through the same things they're going through, but also having to work and help our students and families.
So,
And I think adding that into that paragraph would be great to acknowledge that.
That would be good, right after it says learners, the period, take the period out, and put while, while doing it with your own family, or while navigating through this with your own family.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Diane.
yeah, see, I would put it after challenge and before we continue to admire. While you struggle with your own family's COVID or something like that there, to put that in before you go and talk about what they're doing for us. But I'm not hard over and I'm not an English major by any chance. So, but it's a good thing to put in there. How we get it put in, we need to come up with the wording that we're gonna put in and where it's gonna be, so that when we approve this, if it gets approved, then we're approving the final form.
What, can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
So it says, we continue to admire your commitment to putting students and families first. At the same time, navigating this in your own lives, or some, I don't have the verbiage, but I think it actually fits right there. And then it goes into, you have been in the forefront of helping families navigate the new normal. I think it acknowledges it there. I think it's important to put.
Yeah.
I think if you say your commitment to putting students and families first, while at the same time, however you want to word it.
So after the first sentence, put something in about, is what you're saying?
No,
Oh.
after we continue to admire your commitment.
Oh, okay. Right, students and families first, while facing your your own family daily struggles with COVID.
What about this?
Yep.
What about, we continue to admire your commitment to putting students and families first, at the same time navigating this within your own homes.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I like it.
All right. Move on to the third paragraph. It says, we still don't know what tomorrow brings, but as your school board, we are confident.
Directors.
We are confident that we have the best educators in the state. The right folks are on the job. You are educational superstars. We thank you for all you have done, continue to do, to encourage our students and serve the communities of Sabattis, Wales, and Litchfield. Thank you. So the hyphen between state,
Yes.
I'm not sure. I mean, I don't.
Well, you could,
I just can't.
you could
I
put,
just changed it to a semicolon.
yep, you could, or you could put a period and say, we know the right folks are on the job.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Just a
I like
suggestion.
that better.
And I would, yeah, as your board of directors, that sounds, I don't know.
A little sterile.
What's that?
Maybe a little sterile. What's that?
Sounds corporate.
It does sound corporate, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It sounds a little shirt and tie.
Why don't you just say, but
No.
but we are confident. You don't have to say school board again, you're gonna say it when you sign it at the bottom, you know?
so we still don't know what tomorrow brings, but we are confident.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
take out as your school board, but we are confident that we have the best educators in the state. The right folks are on the job. We're
And
educational
we're gonna switch
superstars.
that to, we know the right folks are on the job.
Yeah. We thank you for all you've done, continue to do to encourage, is that comma really going there? Continue to do to encourage our students and serve the community.
We took it out. Yeah, we took it out.
We took it out,
Yeah.
okay? And then I think typically we always refer to it as Litchfield, Sabattis, and Wales, put it now, isn't that how, when we talk about the three towns?
You typically put it in alphabetical
It's
order.
usually Litchfield, Sabattis, and Wales.
Okay.
I appreciate you putting Litchfield last in there. I thought you were trying to look, I don't want to put my town first because I wrote it. Does that seem sufficient? Are there any other comments? All right.
I'd like everyone's name to be put on this.
Yes. Well, you want everybody's, I can see that it is from the school board, all right? It's gonna be by a vote of the school board to send it out. I'm not we have two members that aren't present, but they are part of the school board, and when the school board makes a decision, it's the decision of all, so.
Policy, yes.
Yeah, so, yeah, that would be appropriate, to go and list all the members, and that's what we are, we're a board, we're a single entity, and we're just listing for everybody's information, who's on the board. Okay? Do we need that, anybody need that be read back in its entirety before we vote, or are we good on what it's gonna say?
I'm good.
All right, everybody seems to know what changes were made and agree to them. So at this time, I would call for the vote.
Bob,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Robbie,
Yes.
Christy,
Yes.
and Vicky.
Yes.
All right.
All right,
I will put that on letterhead.
all right, thank you all.
Yep. Thank
For
you
that.
all. I mean, if you don't mind, I appreciate you doing that. I know I sent you all an email today. I think this will mean a lot. The staff needs to hear. We need to hear your support. It's really important right now. It's pretty tough. So, thank you.
All right. Finance Facilities Committee didn't meet today.
Nope.
No.
Personnel Policy Committee.
Yes, we can.
Yep, we did meet.
Or do you have any report?
Well, who's giving the report?
You really let me dangling preposition or something, I don't
We
know.
talked about, first reading of, food service, policies that
Okay.
needed to be reviewed and updated. So those will be coming to the board next meeting.
First reading?
So those are policies EFDA, EFE, and EFC.
All right,
Stimulating reading.
all right.
That's why we couldn't.
Yeah,
So much to talk about.
I'll try and read them for first reading this time, or I'll wait till second.
I'm going through them with a fine tooth comb.
Okay, CAI Technology Committee.
We had planned on meeting tonight, Bob, but we didn't have the board members to meet with.
You didn't.
Well, they were busy reading policies.
We were knee deep in food service.
I'm not quite sure they made the right decision.
No, I need the food service ones for the audit.
Yeah, the food service director needs one for the food service.
All right. The board member comments?
I would just like to say that I hope everyone gets an opportunity to have some rest and replenishment when February break comes. Because I think this winter thus far has been kind of rough for everybody. So I really hope that everyone gets an opportunity to refill your tanks a little bit to come back for March, because we all know how March is. And just great gratitude for everything. Thank you.
Any other comments? So I'll make a brief one. You got someone else?
Christy, I think Christy was going to.
Christy, you want to make a comment?
Yeah, I've been toying with it if I want to make this comment or not, but as it's marinating in my brain, not to belabor the social media pieces, but I hear a lot on social media about how our schools are failing kids. And I think I need to say this out loud in this meeting. I don't think it's our schools that are failing kids. I think it's our communities that are failing kids and the members of our community. And I think we can do better. And I just wanted to say that to the educators that are listening. I hope that you know how much we appreciate you. And that's all about that.
All right, thank you. There's no comments. I just want to go and, again, add my personal comment, support of this letter and of our staff. I ran across one today when I was out and about, and you know, they're good people. They're doing their best. Our future really does lie in the students we have, and we need to give them the best we can. It's hard to go and do under some circumstances. It's really hard to do under all circumstances for some students, but we try the best, and that's what we need to do. And so keep up the good work. Don't listen to all that chatter that's out there. You're better off not even reading it. My wife tells me there's not a lot of words that can go and bother me too much all those years in the Navy. I just, you know, call me what you want. As long as my head hits the pillow and I'm satisfied with myself, the rest of the world I don't care about. And I don't know what they think. So that's my success. When I put my head on the pillow, if I'm satisfied with myself for the day, it's been successful. And there'll be another opportunity the next day, I hope. So thank you again, everybody. I would like to thank everybody that's joined us either online in one form or the other. And all have a safe and enjoy these last couple of days of warm weather we're going to have before it gets cold again. But January thaw came in February this year. So thank you all. And without objection, I will declare this meeting adjourned.
8:03. Thank you all. Audio a little better out there tonight, Vicki? Is audio better, Vicki?